Hello guys, very welcome to my channel. This is Benedek here, and in today's episode I would like to show you how to build your very first mono behavior. Now mono behavior in Unity is actually, as its name is referring to it, actually it's a behavior of game objects. So you are going to write your first C# script related to Unity when you are designing an actual behavior of a game object. You could write character control scripts or whatever you would just like to do. But in today's episode, I would like to just stick to simple things, so we will just rotate a cube. So I'm going for my Unity hub here, and when I open this up, okay, now we should go for simple 3D tutorial game, because that was the project we created yesterday. Okay guys, the Unity editor is just loaded up with the project we have created in the previous episode. Okay, and here is our little cube, the game object we have just created, and we just positioned it and upscaled it a little bit. So yes, it has a scaling of 3 by 3 by 3. Okay, now actually I would like to have it in the center of my screen. So if I go for 0, 0, 0, it will just be in the middle of my screen. Okay, so the 0, 0, 0 position means it is actually in the middle. But now we should make something to happen with this little cube. So under here, the assets folder, you can go for right clicking and create. You could basically create a C# script even to here, but I would like to first put it into a folder called scripts to be like consistent, and because I like to organize things properly, so I have just right clicked and I would like to create a C# script, and let's call it just rotate cube or whatever. Okay, now I have to double click it and it will open up Visual Studios. And actually, if you are new to programming, then you shouldn't be worried at all, because that's a very, very simple script we will write today, and I will explain everything. So you don't have to worry. Okay, we just received this file. I've just deleted a line which we do not need. Okay, so here is something called a C# script. It is actually a class. For those of you who already know some programming, then be a little bit patient. I won't explain too much details for those of you out there who hasn't seen programming script before, but let's consider a class like just a behavior attached to a game object. So this whole thing contained between these brackets is part of the behavior. And I know that of course class is a by definition blueprint of an object, but we do not need now object-oriented programming concepts. Of course, I will create another video or even a video series on object-oriented programming concepts, but for today it is just a container of mono behavior. Okay, and there are two little guys here, a void start and the void update. Now these are methods, or we can call them functions as well. These methods are particular segments of our code. So in here, between those brackets, we can specify what to happen actually when these parts of our code are invoked. So we can invoke them by using its name. So when we use the name, we call them actually, and when we call a method or a function, then the code we will write in here will be executed. Now these are just comments here, so we can delete it, but it explains us when this start method will be invoked. Start is called before the first frame update, so at the very beginning of our game. And if you haven't seen comments before, you can use comments like this. So this is a simple line comment and single line comment. But if I would like to, I can specify even multi-line comment as well. And here we go. We have to specify it with a slash and an asterisk. Okay. Now, and we can delete them, of course. And update method is called once per frame. So actually, if you would like to move objects or interact with something in your code, which should happen actually every time, then you would like to put it in there in the update method. And update and start methods can be deleted if you don't want to use them. So in case you want to specify separate behavior and you would like to invoke your method from like a button click or from somewhere else, you can just do that by creating your own method, and afterwards you will assign it to a button. Probably I will show that even in this video, but for now we would like to just get rid of the start method because I do not want to use it. But here I have this little cube rider. Now this is just a game object, as we have discussed in the earlier videos, but here it can have components assigned to it, and if I hit this little sign, I can even remove components, and with the add component I can add actually components which are just provided by Unity by default, or I can just drag and drop my script to it and it will be assigned to it. But no, I don't know why it doesn't seem to work properly, but if I go for assigning it, it will work actually. I don't know what's going on. Okay, it will work. Okay, so I've just assigned it, so you should just drag and drop. Okay, and or you can just type in, of course, the name we have just created. I mean the script's name, and you can assign it even like that. Okay, now we have assigned the script. However, nothing will happen because the script is almost completely empty. So we need to say how to rotate this game object. Now we can refer to this game object, but if we assigned our scripts to this game object, then we can get its components. Remember, these little fellow guys, which you can, close and open with this little arrow, are just components of it. So if you attached actually your behavior to a specific game object, then in this case you can go for get component. Component, yes. Yes, and now you can specify. You have to specify which component actually you wanna use. Now, in my case, I would like to use the transform of this game object because I would like to rotate it. So in order to manipulate with even the position or the rotation, I would like to get this component, this transform component. So transform, and what I would like to do after getting the transform of this game object, I would like to call a method, a pre-generated method, which is provided by Unity, called rotate. And now I have to pass in vector free. Vector free is just a three-dimensional vector actually. So I go for vector free, a new vector free, and here I have to say something like this one. It will be good, but actually it will do nothing, since I'm rotating it to 0, 0, 0. So if I go in here, it will need to recompile it. So actually at every time you save your code, Unity will check if there are any errors you made in the code, and if you hit play here, or you just hit Ctrl plus P, then you will enter the game mode. But as you can see, nothing actually happens. That's because we haven't assigned a real rotation to it. I mean, we assigned it, but we are rotating it by 0, 0, 0. So we should say 0, 50, 0. So we are rotating it on the Y scale, because X, Y, and Z, this is the sequence, and we almost always use the thing called time.delta_time. Now it is basically just a multiplier, and whenever we are interacting with rotating or moving around anything basically in the game, in the update or in the late update or the fixed update method, I will do another video where I will talk about what is the difference between late update, fixed update, because there are those kind of update methods as well. But for now, an update method, the normal update method, will be enough for us. So then we use the time.delta_time. Now time.delta_time is actually a multiplier we use to make this movement frame rate independent, because in case while the execution for some reason the frame rate will drop, then our game would be lagging and it will be a little bit strange. Okay, so go back to Unity, wait for it compiling. Okay, there are no errors in the console, so let's just try to play our game, and it will rotate actually our cube on the y-axis. You see, in the y-axis it's rotating. Cool, guys, amazing. Now what we need to do is we need to so I would like to show you how to stop this rotation or restart this rotation with actually creating a button, and we will assign a very, very simple script with which you can stop this rotation and restart it. So go for GameObject, go there to UI, and we will select button. Okay, now I said I would like to create only a button, but there is something called an event system, and there is a weird guy called canvas. What are these? No, an event system is something you do not have to worry about. It's just pre-generated by Unity, and it is just for letting us use actually the UI elements. What are UI elements? UI elements stands for user interfaces, so actually anything your user can interact with. So a button, a drop down, or even a slider like a volume slider. So any dynamic fields your user can interact with are handled by an event system basically. But you do not have to adjust its values in case you would. Unless you would like to make something really, really special, you don't have to worry about that guy. Just leave it like it is generated. But there's something called a canvas. Now a canvas is basically something like a sheet, like a paper sheet actually. it's just a two-dimensional panel, as you can imagine, or probably yes. And one more very important thing, guys, I haven't talked about: how I move around in the scenes view. So in the scene view, I can, go zoom out with my mouse wheel, and I'm using this little hand tool to move around. And if I want to rotate around my axis, and I'm just right clicking and dragging it. Okay, so that's the way you move around in Unity as scene views. Okay, and if you go for move tool, you can move it, but I don't want to move my canvas. Okay, so the canvas is just a paper sheet like panel, but yes, okay, that's enough explanation, I guess. That's just 2D elements. That's just a container of 2D elements, even in a 3D game. Okay, now here you do not have to really adjust any values of this canvas right now, but you have this button, and actually you can see that it is positioned there. Now, because it has a little cube here, or let's say a little panel, which shows you that it is assigned to the middle center, and so it has a relative position here specified. So if you zero it out, then it will just be at the center, because this is the anchor point of it. So if you click it, you can, of course, assign it to the bottom. So if you hit Shift, hold it, and just press the bottom center, it will be anchored there. But of course, it will remain at the original position, because Unity is very intelligent, and it will keep it there for us. So if you would like to zero it out again, then the 0, 0, 0 relative position will mean for him, for this time, the bottom center position. Now I would like to bring it up a little bit, like with AD and the Y position. That's wonderful, but this button is a little bit small, I guess. So what I need to do, I can, of course, upscale it like we did in the previous video with this cube. But when I'm doing it, there is no need to upscale it on the z-axis, since it's 2D element. But there is a problem, actually, because we now manipulated the whole GameObject and its children elements as well. Because, guys, if you see in the hierarchy, if you open this little arrow of this button, there is a text element, and I don't know if you can see it, but I will try to enlarge it. So basically, the font, so the text is now ugly. Actually, that's because we have upscaled it, but the text component is also upscaled, and the font size is the same. So in case you would like it to not to be ugly, you do not want to upscale it, but you would like to modify the width and the height property, like 260, yes, and we would say like 50. Okay, and now we can go to the text component of our text game object. Here, the text script one, and we would like to put in a value of, let's say, 40. And now we can see that it is not ugly anymore, so it's working properly, and it is looking actually very good. So, guys, I guess that's enough for today's episode. I'm happy that you have watched my video, and in next time we will assign the controller script of this button to stop and restart the rotation of our little cube. Thanks for watching, and be safe out there. Bye.